What's the word? Math, math, math. Math's the word. What's the word? Math. Math's the word. Oh, well, math, 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 math. Math, math, math. Oh,
1.36. Multiplying complex numbers. Do this example with me. Complex numbers are often used with electricity. In these problems, J is used in place of I. They'll tell us why. If not, maybe I'll help you. In electricity, the voltage V of an AC circuit, you know that plug in the wall, 3 holes you put in your outlets and stuff, can be found using the formula V equals CL, where C is the current and L is, or I is the impedance. Impedance? I don't know. If C is equal to 3 plus 2I amps and I, or I think it's L, because they want to be stuck with imaginary numbers, L equals 7 minus 5J ohms. Determine the voltage. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is just use that formula. V equals C, and I like to write a cursive L. Why? It's not cursed. I just don't want it to look like a 1. Okay? Okay, so let's just color code this. C, whoa. C is going to equal 3 plus 2J. Okay? And L is going to equal 7 minus 5J. Okay, so this will, it says determine the voltage. That's just what is V, right? Okay, so then it tells me another piece that I need is this one. J is usually used in place of I. So I'm not going to use the I anymore. The J, what am I going to write? We're going to write an I. That's it. V equals, well, we have to do some math, but we kind of navigated the word problem portion. Okay, so what do? We get to do the box method. And I just basically get to write 3 plus 2I and 7 minus 5I. This is just like the warm-up. You can use FOIL, but I'm just going to use this area model or the box method, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to multiply, and then we're going to add or combine like terms. Okay? All right. 3 times 7 is 21, and 3 times negative 5i is negative 15i. 7 times 2i is 14i. Okay, pay attention to this one. 2i times negative 5i is negative 10i squared. Okay, we got to remember one of our big ideas. One of the big ideas is I equals the square root of negative 1, or I squared equals negative 1. So if I know that I squared equals negative 1, every time I see I squared, I can write negative 1. And this will give me negative 10 times negative 1, which is positive 1. And then now, we just need to combine like terms. So, this is a real number, and this is a real number. 21 plus 1 gives me 22. And then 14i and negative 15i, that's just 14 minus 15 gives me negative 1i, or just negative I. And if the I business, again, let's go back to the up here, it says use J for I. So let's go back. We can say that V equals this, V equals this. So V equals 22 minus J. Okay? So big idea here is use the formula, use a box method, and then simplify. All right, directions for questions 31 to 34. Skip one problem and go ahead and simplify. Okay, let's go ahead and use this big idea here. And I'll just do some magic. Ooh. Ooh. Okay, so 31. Let's go ahead and multiply first. Okay, 2 times 3 is 6. 2 times negative I is negative 2I. 3 times I is 3I. And positive times a negative is negative. And I times I is I squared, right? Same base, you add the exponents. And yeah. Okay, let's use that big idea over here. I squared is equal to what number? Negative 1. And don't forget you already had that negative on the outside, so that just becomes positive 1. So let's go ahead and combine like terms. I have 6 plus 1, which gives me 7. I have 3i minus 2i. Those are like terms, so I just look at the numbers in front. That just becomes 1i, or just plus I. $32, let's do the same thing. Let's go ahead and draw a box. I recognize if you hold it down, it'll make your line straight, kind of, most of the time. Alright, so 5 minus 2i. And it doesn't matter how you write this. You could have wrote 5 minus 2i on the top. It does not matter with this area model. Okay, 4 times 5 gives me 20. 5 times negative I is negative 5i. Remember, pretend it's like an x, so it would become it would be negative 5x. 4 times negative 2i is negative 8i. And negative times negative is positive, and 2i times I is going to become 2i squared. Alright, remember what we just learned, that I squared from up here, I squared equals negative 1. So instead of writing I squared, what am I going to write? Negative 1. And remember that's a multiplication, so that becomes negative 2. So that'll become 20 minus 2, which is 18. And negative 8i minus 5i gives me negative 13i. Now pay attention, that's not negative 13i squared, because you're just adding, which means you just go to the numbers in front. Okay, so that was number 32. We completed number 31. All right. 33, same thing. Four minus 2i and 1 minus 2i. So 4 times 1 is 4. 4 times negative 2i is negative 8i. Negative 2i times 1 is negative 2i. And negative 2i times negative 2i is going to be positive 4i squared. Okay? Why is that the case? Because if you just write them next to each other, that just becomes negative or positive 4, and that is remember, multiplying the same base or same variable, you add those numbers, so that becomes 1 plus 1 is 2. Okay, here it is. Remember this big idea here? That becomes negative 1. So that is negative 4. So 4 and a negative 4 gives me 0. And negative 2i minus 8i is going to be negative 10i. And you don't have to write the 0 there, so we just write negative 10i is our answer. Alright, use the formula V equals CL. Let's write that down. Find the voltage in the circuit with the current. So C equals that. And the L impedance is this. We're just going to multiply it. You can convert these to I's or J's, or just keep it as is, and then I like to put the I's in there. And why do I like to do that? Because that's what we've been learning. Because what do pirates say? Alright, so let me just write this other one on the side. And 3 times 3 is 9. 3 times negative I is negative 3i. 2i times 3 gives me 6i. And negative I times 2i is negative 2i squared. And what do we have up here in our big idea? I squared equals negative 1. So negative 2 times negative 1 gives me positive 2. So I have 9 plus 2, which is 11. And 6, now we're adding, right? 6i minus 3i gives me 6 minus 3, which is just plus 3i.
Shout out to Miss Ang for being the best math teacher that there is. And math is easy.